to the third interview of this series, and with me here I have, all the way from Germany, it is Yaws.
Hello, my friends.
And I'd like to thank Yaws for this short notice. All the other interviews I tried to do took a lot more patience. With me here I have all the
Okay,
way
yeah,
from Germany.
I'm pretty much available all around the clock, like especially for Warcraft content. So I don't see why anybody would hesitate about that question.
I mean, it does help you out with you being a pretty important guy in the Warcraft 3 scene at the moment. I mean, you're one of the few streams that got partnered with Twitch.
Yeah, that's actually true, and I think it's rather hard to get this partnership. And I think all of the players players and casters that got that have this some kind of connection with Twitch. Other than that, there's absolutely no chance of being partnered at the moment, I guess. So just to put it out there, that the guys who are still trying, it's pretty damn hard to get that partnership going for you guys.
Well, let's just jump right into the questions. And I made a Reddit link, and some people have some questions. 3.14 Henry wants to know, what would be your favorite group to play in WCA and why?
Favorite group? Tough question up front. I think a group that I would like to see is a group that I can advance on. And this would be a group consisting of maybe not the top tier players. I would like to get like one of the guys that made it from the Chinese bracket. I think Tara made it last, or ZDR, the Orc player. I would like to see him in the bracket. First of all, I think ZDR is also a good player, but still I think he's rather beatable for me. Then I would also like to see a human player, so maybe I would like to play Infi in the group stage, as well as maybe Represal. I would like to dodge all European players, because I want to see them like advance. And it would be like kind of awkward to play each other in the group stage already. So ZDR, then we have Infi or Represal, and then a Night Elf player would be fun. Like, okay, there's only one Night Elf of a choice. I think I will take Moon in the group stage, even though it would be a tough game. I just love this guy.
Yeah, I heard he was invited to the grand finals. That's actually kind of exciting. You think Moon might be a little bit rusty?
I don't know about Moon. I'm not sure if he's practicing. I'm not sure about his shape. He's always been great, but I also remember that he lost pretty damn hard in the last WCG he attended. So I'm still looking forward to him, because he's just a great player and he's so well equipped, like in terms of trophies and prize money and whatever comes to his mind.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed how that WCG ended. Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it, but the final game was kind of a tower rush by Thu.
Yeah, it was a mess, because everybody was so hyped for that match, and then Thu just decided to you know what? I would just quickly erase you out of the final bracket and take the money. And this is what actually happened there.
Yeah, but it's over now. At the time, I thought that would have been the last big Warcraft 3 tournament. I think a lot of people thought that, but
yeah.
Apparently it's not the case anymore, which is a good thing.
True that.
Alright. The same guy also would like to know, what were your favorite custom maps, and did you ever make one yourself?
I tried creating something myself with the World Editor, but I think it's rather hard to get into that thing, because it's super, like... And for me personally, it was really hard to get into this stuff, like creating, because I like to play the game. But the games that stood out to me the most was, of course, Footman Frenzy with all of my friends. Then Dota 1 back then was also a big thing that I enjoyed a lot. And what else do I remind? I played a lot of these RPG maps that take like forever. I remember this Julian's RPG. You can play there like for 10 hours or something like that. And back then my computer specs were so bad then it took me actually like 10 minutes to load that map. So these games really stood out to me, and I had a lot of fun playing them.
The only really big custom map I got into is Trolls vs. Elves.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that, but never really played that.
It's kind of like Vampirism Fire in a way.
Yeah. You remember this sheep and wolf map where you had to construct a lot of farms so that you can move between the farms? I also like that. Like maybe it's wolf sheep tag or something like that. And the tower defenses. Since I'm a human player, this was also kind of fun.
Sheep tag. I think I heard of sheep tag actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever played Run Kitty Run? Those were weird.
Oh yeah, played that also back then.
Another question from Naya Goslav. Who do you think will win WCA?
Yeah, that's pretty hard to say because we have like three scenes colliding there. We have the Chinese, the Korean, and the European scene colliding there. And I would like to see European players doing rather well there, especially also since the Koreans are back in shape. We just saw it in the Jara Cup, like Focus, Czech, they're gaining so much momentum, and also other players like Lolayat. So who's winning the whole thing? It's maybe the toughest question of them all this year concerning Warcraft. But I think, of course, the human players will have a great shot at it, especially Infi. But I would like to see like maybe an underdog winning the whole thing, like maybe. Let's see. Maybe a Represal, since I just watched the game, him playing like Blood Mage first. Represal winning the whole thing would be sick. I would like to see that.
I would like to see any other player but Infi and Thu win.
Yeah, it would be good, and it would still be a disappointment for the Chinese scene. So
It would. A lot of people consider the European players to be the weakest. Do you consider that true?
no, I just think this statement is completely false. But you can compare it, like a lot of European players just lack the LAN experience. We had this last year when like Warchief Rich got completely annihilated in the group stage offline. And this is just due to the lack that they just don't ever played like big events. They never had the feeling of playing a big event. And if you go to an event as a player, you suffer in terms of conditions because your table will shake, your mouse will not be in the same position that you usually have that. And if you cannot adjust to that, especially the first event that you attend, then it's pretty damn tough. And also like traveling around the globe and going to China, this is also all on the side of the Europeans, makes it a little bit harder. But since we also see Koreans, South Koreans take tournaments in StarCraft 2, for example, and traveling around the world and so on. So maybe the traveling part is not a big thing, but I think the lack of experience offline and so on makes the European elite not as strong as maybe the Korean, cause like maybe Lolayat is not the perfect example, but Focus, for example, he got a huge history of Warcraft LAN events, and for that I think he can play really, really well. And all the Chinese players for sure, they play for so long, they attended almost every LAN event there is. So I think this plays a huge role in the whole thing.
Yeah, there's even players like you, Lucifer, you all have been to at least one LAN event, so you have that knowledge in the back of your head. But new players who haven't been at, like, I don't know about HLA, or I think Sonic did go to a LAN event before, but yeah, it's just one of those things you're not used to, is it?
Yeah, this is what really separates a top-notch player from like a good player, the lack of experience. Because with experience you can suffer, you can just like win in so many scenarios because you just know, okay, I've been in this very um, what is it called, situation, and I know how to get out of here. Or I just know, okay, I know how you play, I know what to do to mess with you. And also mind games play a huge role. Like back then we had so much trolling and mind games offline that can just throw you off your game even before the game starts, and this also plays a role in the whole thing. And yeah, I hope the European elite will play a little bit better. We had Warchief winning it in Germany, and I think he can go to China. But the expectations for him were rather big from the Europeans towards him, because we all thought, okay, you know what, this Warchief guy, he's pretty damn good. He will take like some wins against Infi and maybe TH, and then he got completely crushed.
One of my mods wants to know, how are you training for WCA?
Since I haven't really started practicing, but I will start like next week, so I have like 1.5 months to practice for that. I will try to gather people to play a lot of custom games. Let's say like I get to Warchief and also get in contact with Hawk, and then we play like every day, like at least one best of 5 on all the maps that we have like for the tournament, since the maps are announced. So we can play like best of 5, or not even a best of 5, just play all 7 maps that are included in the map pool against each other. So we get a lot of practice done on high level. And beside that, if I get these practice partners, because I already started asking, and if you play where like we will wait until the group stage is announced, and then we will decide who I will practice with. Which I think is kind of retarded, because why should we wait until the brackets are out? You just want to practice as much as you can, because you are not up against the Europeans, you are up against the world. So if you can practice with the guys right next to you, like country-wise, then why wouldn't you like take this opportunity away and say, you know what, I won't practice with you because you're in the same group. Doesn't make any sense to me, but like this is my personal schedule for the practice part.
Yeah, and imagine if you like practice so hard to versus your elf matchup, and then you're stuck versus like 3 orcs the first round. I'm not sure how well that'd do for you.
Yeah, that's true, but you have to like improve your overall game, like mechanical wise. I think I'm a bigger challenge than playing like a 60% orc player than that you meet on W3 Arena, for example. So if you play like really, really intense games against human, it's not helping your orc matchup, but it's helping you overall to evolve as a player, to gather a little bit more knowledge. And then you can also exchange ideas about different matchups, since we all have a pretty good background, like in terms of all other matchups. I would say that it makes more sense to practice with the really good guys that are still there than to practice like with maybe 1 or 2 orc players. But this is just my opinion about that.
Okay. Neo Goslav, sorry if I messed up your name, wants to know, do you think human is overpowered, as 40% of the qualified participants in WCA are humans?
No, I really don't think that human is overpowered at all. It really comes down to all the players playing that race. And if you see a list of the players that actually play and will attend the grand final, you will just see names that have a really long history of Warcraft, that play like forever, and for that they just have this huge experience lead over all the new players or other players for other races. If you just take into consideration all the top players that kept playing are the Chinese, like Infi, TH, and Yumiko. These are the guys from the old school days that kept playing and they were on the top level already. So making it to that level takes a lot, and back then they could just compete with like Sky and all the other guys in their team, and they could actually go up to that level. But nowadays it's a lot harder to get to that level, because you will just not find the opponents that can teach you, someone that can mentor you, someone that will give you the information. This is why they exclusively like practice with each other, like Infi and TH, because they don't want to like any information to your opponents, because this is how you keep info to yourself, and this just makes you a lot more powerful before people like start coming at you and try to win against you, because you will never overcome that lead. It's a lot harder. Like there's a theory about that. I don't want to get into it right now, but when we start at the same time, it's a lot harder. Like when we both start a new game right now at the same time, we will have a learning curve, but if I start this like 2 days earlier, you will never catch up to me if we keep playing. And this is what we have at the moment, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, it all comes down to how strong you feel your play is right now, and I'm pretty sure you're feeling confident about yourself. But one thing that has been said is, due to Foggy's visa issues at the European Pro Qualifiers, you wouldn't have been able to qualify unless you played the Open Qualifier. So if Foggy's visa thing never happened, do you think you would have done well in the Open Qualifier?
That's pretty tough to say, because you will never know what happens in the Open Qualifier. I think nobody expected Foggy dropping out in the Open Qualifier against Orc Worker or something like that. Or it wasn't even Orc Worker, I'm not sure. But an Open Qualifier is such a big Open Qualifier especially. It's like, of course, I can do that, I can win that thing, but it's also like you can easily lose in an earlier round if you play like a little bit like worse than usually. So it comes down to a lot of things, I guess. But of course, the visa issue for Mr. Foggy was a big thing there, and it made it a lot easier. But still, I went to Germany. I was the only player of choice because I was around commentating, and they said like, "Do you want to play?" And then I went to get my equipment. I was not prepared for that opportunity. And just keep in mind, like all the guys that are actually hearing this right now, I still had to play against Ruden, Hate of Anger, and Worship Ridge, and I ended up in the grand final, and I could have won there 2-0, just to give you like an insight about that. So if people are out there that think, okay, maybe it's not well deserved, blah blah blah, then just keep in mind how well I played back then. Like the offline lead, or the experience lead that I have offline, I was like super confident. I knew like all these guys, they are new to the scene and they have never been here, but I felt like so confident going up at this stage and playing against them. In the end, I became second place. I think this is still great, but everybody expected me to go in the fourth. And I think it would be okay if Foggy came there, but you never know. He was never to enlightenment. He's pretty damn young. Traveling to Germany, maybe there's some culture thing, because if you experience like different environments and so on, he could have easily lost there as well. So not even sure if this whole argument is so legit.
Mm-hmm. Which matchup do you feel is your best matchup right now? Like, you know it like the back of your hand.
I think the best matchup is right now Undead. I feel pretty confident Undead. I know every single step that I have to do to achieve the win. And against Human, I also feel rather confident. I still struggle against Night Elves every now and then, and sometimes Orc can be a pain in the ass.
With the scene full of night elves, that's definitely not the greatest thing.
No, absolutely not.
Cause I just watched Neo's Observer and saw all the people who qualified. There are a lot of night elves who qualified from every qualifier.
Yeah, it's actually Shishi, and we have Sonic,
We have
Warchief Rich,
Laliat,
and Loliad. I think that's all. And from
Moon.
that, you have to be really careful against Loliad and against I don't know, and Warchief Rich. I think Sonic is not that strong most of the time. And
What?
Shishi, I don't really know about him. He can play really good, and then other games he just plain out sucks.
Last Laliat games I casted, I can't remember if it was for YouTube or the Garrett Cup. His Warden control. Do you fear his Warden? He's shown some pretty nice control with it.
I have to say, if you Warden in general, because it's such a powerful hero, and it just leaves you with a certain mindset whenever you get blown away by that hero, because you just know, okay, next game Warden, you know what? I just like this is not. I will not win that. And if you see Loliad play like that, this is pretty damn fantastic. But we also see a couple of counters to that, like especially the Blood Mage game that got popular, like Blood Mage second and then draining the mana away and not even going for a fast expansion. So I think there could be like some kind of solutions to that. But yeah, as I see Loliad play, especially against Human with that Warden, I get a little headache, and I'm always wondering like how can I mess him up and what can I do, like because you have to surprise these guys, especially in the best of two scenario that we will have in the group stage. And then in the best of two, you can do like crazy stuff. Maybe Dark Ranger Tower Rush, or I don't know, Tinker Tower Rush right away, or maybe just send three peasant over on Echo Elves Tower Rush him. So I will try and prepare something special for that, and I think I will not deal with it like completely straight game.
Okay. Well, so I think we talked enough about WCA. I'd want to hear about your history of Warcraft 3. What got you to start playing this game?
Actually, I saw it on TV. We had this TV show where Warcraft was featured for once, and we had a shoutcast. So it was actually Caldo or not sure. I think a few people that actually hear that name have a picture in their mind who this guy is. He was doing quite a lot of shoutcasting back then. Was one of the important figures in the Warcraft 3 scene, and he was invited to a TV studio, like really on TV, on German television, and he was doing this show, and he was presenting one game. A human played against an orc, and I watched that. I was 14 years old. I watched that on TV, and I was like, dude, this game looks fun. You have a hero, you have units. I saw a Blade Master spinning around using his ultimate. I saw a human player bolting orc towers back then. It was still possible. And I was like, dude, this game is amazing. And the next day I talked to my dad, and I was like, I have to get this game. Let's go to the store where you can like borrow games and bring them back for some money. And then we went there. I got that game, played it for a few days, and I was like, you know what? I have to buy that game. It's so good. And then it was like my birthday was right around that time, and I decided, okay, for birthday I just want that game. And then ever since that, I played the LAN mode. I played like Divine and Conquer just by myself, like against 11 computers. And I started playing it, and the first times I got crushed so hard, but it still was so much fun. Especially the Blade Master. I played this guy so much back then already, and it was just ever since that I stuck with that game, and it became a lot of fun.
Like most pro players today, I'm pretty sure when they bought the game, they weren't thinking they would ever become this huge or this good at the game. I'm pretty sure you didn't either, did you?
No, absolutely not. I didn't even know that there's a pro scene. Even so, I watched that game being shoutcasted. I just thought that like they invited two random guys playing that game. I never realized that there's a competitive scene behind that. So I just started to play it offline because no, offline because internet was not really developed that well. And then when I had the first modem and I could play online, I just played RT, like 4 versus 4, 3 versus 3 as a Night Elf player. And I was like, me Dryads. And then I played like a lot of Hippos. And everybody was like, what the fuck are you doing? You said you played Dryads, and then I did Hippos. Because I had no idea what the units were called. But I had an idea of what a Hippo looks like. So I produced the wrong unit all the time. It was crazy. It was a mess.
That reminds me when I first started playing. Like I played 4v4s and I would go as human, and I thought masked priests was the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
I learned the hard way that it was not the best thing in the world.
Same for me.
My mod actually put up a good question. How did you become a human player? What made you choose that race?
I think I told this story quite a lot, but since you're asking, I started playing Night Elf in the first place when I played the 4v4 3v3, and then I decided, okay, you know what, I will play 1v1, and I decided to play Orc. Because Orc was just like, Grubby was like my big idol back then. I watched a few replays, I saw him play, and I was like, dude, this guy is amazing, I want to play like him, and then I decided to play Orc. So I started with Orc, and then I figured out 2v2 is completely my thing. I didn't really like the 1v1 so much because it was like just up to yourself, and I was more like a team player because I came like from football and you have this sportsmanship going for you, and I was like, yeah, I want to play as a team. So we decided to play 2v2, and I was like the Orc player, and my friend Myth, also called Myth, but it was not the guy that became really good later, but he was the human player, and we played quite a lot, and it was really, really well. We covered a lot of strategies that were popular by all the other good players. And then this guy disappeared out of nowhere. I lost my mate, and my clan, like my online Warcraft clan, was full of Orc players. And I was like, dude, we cannot play. I need a human player as a support or as like a second role. And I just had Orc players of my choice, and then I just changed. I was like, you know what? I will play human, you will play Orc. Because I just like the 2v2 so much that I was so dedicated to change my race to human, and then I played with my mates.
Oh, nice. I trained human as a good question. How did you end up joining ATAX and later on MTW? How did they approach you? Why did you pick those teams? Or did you have any other choices?
This started a little bit earlier when I was part of Starcoma, the first team that was actually good. Before that, I was just in teams with my friends and the guys that I know from the start. And then all of a sudden, Starcoma got interested in me because they saw me playing well in the in-cup scene. Like compared to Jero Cup, it was a lot bigger. It was even bigger than Zotek that you might know. But in-cup was like the cup that everybody was cheering for. Like everybody was competing, like Chinese, Korean, Europeans. And we had a bracket out of like 500 or maybe 1K of players, and it was always sold out. Like the whole check-in was full. Sometimes you couldn't sign up because it was full already.
Yeesh.
So I did quite well there. Played against Saucy, a Korean Night Elf, dropped him out. Played against another one, kicked him out. And then I was like, okay, I think people will notice me now. And then like some inquiries came along, and they were like, do you want to join my team? We have hardware support and so on and so on. Hardware support back then was like, we will give you a mouse pad. So then Starcoma approached me, and they were like, you know what, we have some APS players, do you want to join us? We'll give you a trial week or trial month. Then I said, okay, I will join. It was a great opportunity for me because I was looking up to them already. I wanted to go to the EPS, but I was still too young. You have to be 18. I think by that time I was like 16, 17. And I thought it's a great opportunity. So I went there to Starcoma, stayed there, and throughout the trial month, later I found out that these guys actually were thinking about kicking me out because they thought like, this guy's just too bad. He cannot stay with us on our team. But from there I evolved to an EPS player, to the later EPS champion. And we as a team from Starcoma got like kinda not bored, but we split it in two because the rest of the Starcoma part wanted to go to faculty, and we were like, the Warcraft part was like, okay, you know what, we will never go to faculty. We had like this rivalry going on because we were the best two teams in Germany back then, and we said like, no, we will not team up with them, we will just find a different solution. So we had this super nice offer from Etex, X-Lord, and The Muslim were already part of the team, and they were actually just looking for solo players to line up in a team later on, and then they picked us up as a complete team. And this changed a lot because the structure was a lot more professional back then. We had the bootcamp house that we could go to. They paid everything. It was a big company behind us, and the experience was just really, really great for all the players. And I think we as a team evolved, and also we as players evolved, because also The Muslim and the X-Lord gave a lot of information to us, trained us a little bit. We learned a lot by just watching them, and then we became this really, really good German team, or maybe the best German team that has ever been there in Warcraft, like Etex. And then later I got kicked out from Etex because I was like really like childish and stupid. After losing one of my EPS matches, I just said in a telephone interview right after the match, I said like, you know what, Alpha is so retarded, I will just quit the game right now, right here, and I will drop out of the league. You know, I'm gone. Next day, the CEO from Etex calls me. He's like, I watched that interview. Like, what the fuck were you thinking? You are out of your contract. And wow. And then I got busted out. And MTVW picked me up. MTW picked me up cause Take, who was also hosting Take TV, was one of my mentors back then when it came to decision making to teams and salaries and so on. And he was like, you know what, I have this contact, I can bring you to MTW and give you that contract there. And then I was like full of revenge, and I was like, you know what, I will join MTW. And after that, I just won the EPS because I was so full of like revenge feelings, or taking revenge of two attacks, and it's so childish and stupid if I recap that now. But this is how everything went down, and yeah, I think I'm talking too much, though. I will just quit it right here.
No, it's all good. I mean, everyone has their bad-mannered side. I mean, from old replays I've seen, even Grubby from back in the day, he was really, really bad-mannered.
Yeah.
I think I
Well,
watched...
we were also like so young back then, but
Yeah.
still no manners at all.
Yeah, I think Grubby was still like 17 at the time, and I think it was one of the replay of the year candidates I watched on the Back to Warcraft YouTube site, and Grubby was versus this elf, and the trash talk was just so funny. I would just never expect that from the Grubby today. A lot of people have grown up.
Yeah, well, they at least have this camera character, you know. As soon as you put the camera on, you become this super professional kind of guy because you know how to deal with all this stuff. And as soon as the camera goes out, you just go back into who you really are. A few people really have that, like two different images of themselves.
I think, I'll be honest, I think I might have that a little bit. I kind of get mad on ladder.
Yeah, same for me. But I just let my frustration go out like in the face of all the viewers because I don't know.
I noticed you mentioned Take, Muslim. Yes, they had big Warcraft 3 careers, and they also are having big StarCraft 2 careers right now, which brings me to the question, why didn't you make that hop from video games when StarCraft came out?
Yeah, I think like I'm really old-fashioned. Like I thought this is like my first time romance Warcraft. I will stick to that. But I should have been smarter. I should have known, like, you know, I got this certain skill, I got this skill set, and I work with this every game that comes. I will just jump on the newest game because it will bring the most benefit to you. And this is what all these guys do. Like, when you ask them, do you like playing StarCraft a lot? And they are like, no, hell no. Like, Warcraft is way more fun. It all comes down to, do you make an income out of that? Do you want to be, like, working in the esports environment? And then as a player, you just have to hop onto the next games. As we can also see it with all the streamers nowadays. Like, whenever a new stream comes out, streamers will just hop on it and will play it. Because, you know, the new games attract a lot more viewers than old games. And for that, I think the game, it will always involve. Like, also the StarCraft 2 scene just got crushed by the MOBAs. Because the MOBAs became so huge nowadays. And it's kind of crazy to see.
Yeah, I like to think of the Warcraft 3 Twitch viewers as quality over quantity. Because, yeah, the Warcraft 3 viewers are a lot smaller, but I feel like it's more of a family type thing, and I liked it like that.
Yeah, it's like, but something has to grow. Like, we see it in Warcraft. We are so small that it becomes really, really difficult if you want to do, like, bigger steps, like, in terms of anything. Like, if you want to have bigger tournaments, you just need a higher number of admins. If you want to do this, you need a higher player base. If you want to do that, it's like so much is coming down to this point where we are just too small to accomplish a few things. And on the other hand, as you said, we are just one family. Like, everybody who's doing content, everybody who's like as a player, or everybody who's even like a viewer and then turns into like some kind of a streamer. It's so much fun to see that because you just know all the names. You know, to certain names you have faces and so on. It's so much fun actually.
Whoa. Viewer just jumped up a lot. What was I gonna say? What do you think your biggest Warcraft 3 achievement was?
Yeah, I think I have two of them. Like, winning the EPS was a goal that I set myself, and then I was able to accomplish that. That felt really, really good. And before that, I have to point out that like I was aiming for it and then winning it. In my head, before I won that EPS, it was like so big, and then I won it, and it was like, okay, nothing changes. I thought like achievement unlocked, but nothing in your life changes. You win that EPS, and it's like you have a lot of joy of it, but it's not like the joy that you expected. It's like kind of crazy. And on the other hand, of course, the match that I played on stage as an opener for the WCG in China, where I won against Sky, this match led to a 10 days or 7 days trip like rockstar life. It was completely nuts. So
Yeah.
these two really stand out to me.